A new pandemic is making headlines, gracing newspaper front pages and dominating screens. The Hantavirus. Still with the effects of COVID-19 in memory, everyone is asking, will the catastrophe repeat itself? And the answer is simple. Yes. The question is when it will happen. And beyond asking ourselves whether Hantavirus will bring a new apocalypse, we should ask the following. Why is contemporary society doomed to face recurring pandemics? And why does it seem that contemporary society is doomed to live with the perpetual threat of a pandemic, beyond the evident truth that the discussion of diseases that decimate the population is a phenomenon that has accompanied humanity since its beginnings? What needs to be analyzed is the role these plagues play in contemporary society. For this, we will start from the definition of capitalism as a self-organizing entity that maximizes connectivity, the speed of its flows, financial abstraction, and ultimately, the dissolution of human boundaries. The main author who presents this perspective is Nick Land, but we can also see similar definitions in the works of classics like Anti-Oedipus by Gilles Deleuze and Felix Guattari, drawing from the work of Norbert Wiener. Starting from these authors, we can assert that capitalism uses human societies to increase its own complexity and expansion. Starting from this premise, we must understand this cycle of recurring pandemics as a structural consequence of the global capitalist metabolism. Capital has no morality. It does not seek human well-being. It seeks the intensification of flows, and it destroys all those barriers that slow down circulation. All this implies massive urbanization, global logistics chains, hyperconnectivity, and extreme demographic density. In summary, it involves the development of ideal conditions for viral spread. At this point, the disease presents itself as a phenomenon inherent to capitalist acceleration. We can see that since the late 19th century, and especially after 1918, each major pandemic coincides with phases of intensification of economic globalization. The 1918 flu coincided with wartime industrialization and mass transportation. The 1957 Asian flu with forest expansion and commercial aviation. HIV and AIDS with urban globalization and transnational networks. SARS with the integration of Chinese manufacturing within global capitalism. H1N1 with global agribusiness, and COVID with hyperlogistical globalization and mass tourism. Ultimately, the more efficient capitalism becomes at connecting bodies, goods, and data, the more efficient the circulation of the virus becomes. Thus, the pandemic would not be a historical anomaly, but a structural consequence of the global capitalist metabolism that, in its expansion, destroys ecosystems, brings previously separated species closer together, and generates epidemiological reservoirs. But this is the most important thing. History shows that capitalism takes advantage of these pandemics to continue developing and accelerating the interactions that keep it alive. Capitalism absorbs the crisis, monetizes it, reorganizes society, and a new, more refined, more agile model emerges. The best example of this can be seen in the recent pandemic. COVID accelerated telecommuting, boosted the use and development of digital platforms, AI, algorithmic surveillance, and automation. Therefore, the virus does not interrupt capitalist intelligence, but rather participates in its adaptive reorganization. The idea must be understood that capital and the virus are two parallel forms of autonomous propagation over densely interconnected human networks, and one accelerates the other. They feed back into each other, because late capitalism constitutes a self-reinforcing planetary intelligence whose need to accelerate human and logistical flows inevitably produces epidemiological ecosystems of high connectivity. Pandemics, therefore, do not represent external interruptions of the system, but internal biological expressions that arise from the very circulation logic that organizes global capital. And from within, they precisely help to enhance that circulation, because ultimately, pandemics function as mechanisms of selection, economic redistribution, and technological reorganization. The pandemic game and the development of capitalism are two elements that feed into each other. Pandemics accelerate capitalism, and the acceleration of capitalism accelerates pandemics. Thus, capitalism would act as an evolutionary intelligence capable of incorporating even biological catastrophes into its self-expansion process. And it will do so at the cost of your illness, your suffering, and your death. Put on your mask and subscribe before the American dream comes to an end.